Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Sterling Heights City Council to order. If you would, please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Remain standing for the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, please bless our elected officials. Grant them courage and wisdom to do what is right for all citizens. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Riska. Can we please have the roll call?
Mayor Taylor?
Here.
Mrs. Roski?
Here.
Mrs. Koski?
Present.
Mr. Radke?
Present.
Mr. Schmidt?
Present.
Mr. Yanes?
Here.
Mrs. Yarko?
Present.
Thank you, Council. We need approval of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Mrs. Koski.
move to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. First item on our agenda tonight is a report from our city manager, Mark Vanderpool. Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Let me begin by highlighting another very interesting state program that's coming up that I think some of our residents and council members may be interested in. Sterling Heights is once again gaining statewide attention for its bold reforestation and open space preservation initiatives. So on Wednesday, August 27th at 11 a.m., the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy, better known as EGLE, will host a Catalyst Communities webinar highlighting how our city is implementing the Pathways to Play and Preservation millage approved by the voters in 2024. The discussion will be led by our sustainability planner, Ryan Fox, and he'll showcase Sterling Heights' large-scale tree planting program, replacing trees lost to the emerald ash borer disease and Dutch elm. Some of you well know now that we had to cut down 12,000 trees over the years in our neighborhoods because of our diseases. He'll also be highlighting our efforts to preserve undeveloped land for future generations. So this is a great opportunity to see how resident support is fueling transformative environmental projects right here in Sterling Heights. And again, that's August 27th at 11 a.m. And the community, city council members, everyone's welcome to attend the webinar. And I wanted to talk just a few minutes about a housing initiative that's going on at the state level. I was able to participate today in Lansing in a press conference with Councilman Barb Zarko. I wanted to highlight just a couple of key elements of the plan. First, just by way of background, Sterling Heights has been laser focused, I think, as most of you know, on housing needs in the community. We've been talking about this for years now, and it'll ramp up even more with our new zoning ordinance that will be forthcoming. As some may know, the Southeastern Michigan Council of Government is projecting that our population will increase by 10,000 people by 2050. So in just 25 years, our population will go up to about 145,000 people. Now, what that means is we have to have housing to control or to accommodate that sort of growth. Now, that's not rapid growth. It's moderate growth, but nonetheless, and in a good way, growth. So what does that mean for housing? So with 10,000 people, there's a likelihood that we'll need a few thousand units of housing. And in Sterling Heights, 76% of our housing is owner-occupied, single-family, mostly single-family, some of it's condos. So 76% of our growth will need to be single-family homes, assuming that trend continues. And the other component will need to be multifamily. So we have to think about that, and we have to plan for it in a smart, meaningful way. Otherwise, the growth won't come to Sterling Heights. It'll go to other areas in the city, thus won't continue this prosperous trend. So how do we plan for that? Through discussions that the city council's been having for the past few years. What does smart growth look like when it comes to multifamily housing? Where will it be? You can see some of it unfolding in our city. In a small way, it needs to continue to happen over the ensuing years. The Lakeside City Center will accommodate some of that growth need, but there'll have to be other developments across the city in mixed-use developments and commercial areas. You're seeing some of that, and so on. Now, there's state legislation pending that was introduced last year that would preempt our local control. In other words, it would preempt the control that the mayor and the city council has and our planning director and his team. The legislation would take control of our local zoning, if you will, when it comes to housing, and it would mandate certain types of housing, multifamily. It would eliminate lot sizes. It would allow duplexes to be built in single-family residential areas. It would allow accessory dwelling units, and nothing wrong with any of that, but it would be a cookie-cutter approach instead of cities being able to determine on their own how best to accommodate those housing provisions. So as a city, we're very much opposed to the state preempting any of our home rule city control. Our duly elected mayor and city council members are perfectly able, along with our planning commission and our zoning board of appeals, they're able to best determine in collaboration with the community how best to meet our housing needs. So we want to certainly oppose that legislation, but not just oppose it, come up with better ways to partner with the state to develop meaningful options, alternatives to preemption. And so today, the press conference coordinated by the Michigan Municipal League centered on a new program that the league is starting, whereby it would accommodate and reward communities that have best practices in zoning and who are, like Sterling Heights, controlling for growth in a meaningful way in their communities. So the program is multifaceted. It will accommodate building 10,000 homes over the ensuing years statewide. There's a housing shortage statewide of approximately 75,000 homes. So we have a need for about 3,000 in Sterling Heights. Statewide, it's 75,000. So this is an interesting challenge and opportunity for the state. And so we're pleased to participate in this press conference and be highlighted as a community that's doing it right. And instead of the state taking what the good work we've done away from us, coming up with a new plan to partner with the state on housing needs. So we'll be talking much more about this over the ensuing months and a year or so, especially as we ramp up to develop our next multi-year zoning ordinance, which will be a complete redraft of our zoning ordinance. Again, we don't want the state doing that. It's best that our city does that on our own. Okay, so moving on, Mayor, I just have a couple of brief presentations from our esteemed department directors, starting with our library director, Tammy Turgeon, who's going to talk about 1,000 books before kindergarten.
Good evening, Mayor Taylor, members of City Council, Mr. Vanderpool, Mr. Koszewski, and residents. The Sterling Heights Public Library's mission is encouraging innovative living through literacy, discovery, and community. One of our goals is to support and create a community of readers. We do this through providing access to reading materials in various formats, as well as by providing programming that supports reading. Our most popular programming is geared towards our youngest residents and focuses on early literacy. These programs include Baby Stories and Songs, Toddler Time, Shake, Rattle, and Roll, Saturday Stories, and Preschool Story Time. This programming lays the groundwork for a child's educational journey and has a profound impact on their overall brain development. Research suggests children who develop strong early literacy skills are more likely to succeed academically, exhibit higher levels of self-confidence, and actively engage in learning experiences. Children who enter elementary school with a solid foundation in early literacy are better equipped to engage in classroom activities, follow instructions, and participate actively in learning. As a child's first teachers, parents and primary caregivers have a unique opportunity to foster a love of reading and learning from the very beginning, which is pivotal to creating strong early literacy development for a child's lifelong success. Reading aloud to children from an early age is one of the most effective strategies to promote early literacy. It introduces children to the world of books, expands their vocabulary, and helps them develop listening and reading comprehension skills. Tonight, the Sterling Heights Public Library would like to recognize some of our youngest residents that have accomplished a great feat. They have read or listened to 1,000 books before they start kindergarten. To talk more about the program, I'd like to introduce Jessica Leathers, one of our amazing youth librarians.
I have to wear reading glasses now. Good evening, council, mayor, Mr. Vanderpool, and guest. I'm Jessica, and I believe that with all my heart, books have the ability to change lives. That's why I suggested bringing back our 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program, because we know that stories can inspire, connect, and open a world of possibilities for even our youngest readers. Before I continue, I want to take a moment to thank our amazing volunteers who run the Friends of the Library. They sponsored this program, and they play a vital role in supporting our other programs at the Sterling Heights Public Library. We could not do it without them. To our amazing young readers, you did it. You read 1,000 books before even starting kindergarten. Wow. That's more books than some adults read in their entire lives. Don't tell them I told you. You've likely met amazing talking animals, solved mysteries, visited magical lands, and maybe even giggled at some very silly stories. You've shown so much dedication and curiosity, and most importantly, you've discovered just how exciting reading can be. And remember, once you're a library kid, you are always a library kid. This place will always be yours. To the parents, caregivers, and families, thank you for making reading a part of your child's daily life. Even before they can read on their own, the benefits of being read to are tremendous. Stronger vocabulary, sharper thinking skills, a better grasp on language, and a natural curiosity about the world that's around us. It also builds empathy, imagination, and connection. Most of all, it creates a wonderful memory that you and your child will share for a lifetime. To every reader here, big or small, congratulations again. You've proven that stories have the power to bring together people, to inspire, and to shape your future. We are so proud of you. And now I'd like to invite everyone to please join me in congratulating the children and the families who completed this challenge. We are so proud that you are part of the Sterling Heights Public Library community. We will now call out the names of the children who are in attendance and those who could not be here today, some of which are on vacation or starting out their new school years.
So we now ask the mayor and city council if you'd come down so that you could shake the hands of our award recipients. And for our award recipients, as your name is called, if you'd please come up with your grown-ups to accept your certificate of achievement. We had 8 kindergartner or soon-to-be kindergartners complete the challenge, and 3 of them are here tonight. So our first recipient, do you guys want to all stand here?
Sure, why not?
Thank you. Is Declan McGrail. You can shake everyone's hand. They're all excited to meet you. High five.
Say hi to mom and dad. Say hi.
Good job.
Lucas Pelkey. Lucas's brother Christopher also completed the program, but he couldn't be here today.
Good job, Lucas. Yay, Lucas.
Good job, buddy.
Oh, thank you. And Madeline Riss.
You'll always love reading. Reading's the best.
And our other recipients that couldn't be here were Elliot Berry, James Leathers, Christopher Pelkey, Charlotte Tesselin, and Lily Tesselin. Congratulations to all of our award recipients, and thank you to the mayor, city council, and city management for supporting the Sterling Heights Public Library as we work to create and support a community of readers. And if I could have all our readers, we'll gather in the back to take a picture. Thank you.
And Mayor, continuing on with just a couple more brief presentations. We've been talking a lot about electric vehicle technology. We have thousands of residents that have electric vehicles in their homes. They have a need to charge them, and we know that this market is growing annually, not only in the U.S., but certainly worldwide. Notwithstanding some of the political beliefs on this, it is a technology that is growing and will continue to do so. So we've been trying to accommodate the growth in Sterling Heights with charging stations and making it more easy for residents and visitors to charge their vehicles in the city. We've also been partnering with DT in a number of ways and other electric companies to make sure that we have the infrastructure that can accommodate this growth. Our city planner, Dr. Jake Parcell, is going to talk about an exciting program that we had over the weekend in partnership with DTE.
Thank you, Mr. Vanderpool. Unfortunately, Ms. Weinberg is unable to be here this evening, and we are having some technical difficulty with this. But I'm going to do my best to kind of show what we did for our DTE EV Ride and Drive event. So this past weekend outside of City Hall was our second year hosting this event. I won't be able to pull the slides up, I don't believe, because we're having some technical issues, but I do have our script. So we are looking forward to hosting this again next year. It was an amazing event. It is aligned with our sustainability goals of reducing vehicle miles driven on ICE vehicles by providing an opportunity for folks to show up to City Hall and ride them firsthand. So we did have 15 vehicles to choose from. Anything from a Ford Mustang Mach-E, which I'm sure was the most popular, through Jeep Wagoneer, a Tesla Cybertruck, multiple Cadillacs and Chevys as well. There were a total of 500 drives taken over 161 unique drivers. There were 431 test drives, more than there were last year, and a total of 40 adult passengers. So the event was a large success. In working with DTE, we hope to work on this next year and bring it back to Sterling Heights to highlight the initiative that we are making in bringing electric vehicles to our own fleet as well. So the event was a success, and we hope that next year we look to see you all at an event similar time. And we will share photos with this with the city manager to share with you as well, since we can't pull it up on the screen. But it was a wonderful event. It was very hot, but everyone there was excited to ride the EVs and enjoyed themselves very much. Thank you.
And Mayor, lastly, we have many road projects going on across the city. It goes without saying. Over the next few months, we'll be winding down the road projects. I apologize to all the residents for the congestion that we've encountered once again. The city's been hard at work in investing hundreds of millions of dollars in road funding over the years. And you've seen the projects, Van Dyke, Mound, M59, 18-mile road, 14-mile road just started, and Shaner, and the list goes on, not to mention our neighborhood road program, which we've spent millions of dollars. But in addition to these road projects, we're incorporating in traffic calming measures to make our city safer for pedestrians and motorists. And this has been a long-standing objective of the city, and of recent, we've been able to allocate significant resources. So our city engineer, Brent Bayshaw, will walk us through some of those measures that are incorporated with the projects this year.
Thank you, Mr. Vanderpool, and good evening, members of council, mayor, and Mr. Koszewski. We'll start off by saying, obviously we adopted the city's first ever comprehensive safety transportation action plan this year. The plan is intended to be the framework to incorporate the concepts into all of the city's public infrastructure projects, site developments, and standalone projects. So in short, the end product is not the plan we created, but the physical improvements incorporated that we can get into our city to improve the safety. So in fact, the federal program feels the same way. They have great funding opportunities to provide these improvements through demonstration and implementation grants. And this presentation here is meant just to be a quick update highlighting what we've done in 2024, the new improvements in 2025, and then the future opportunities as well. So we started off with Brome Drive last year. We put speed cushions on. It was pretty successful. We've really lowered the average speeds on Brome Drive, and this year we've added speed cushions to Hillsdale Drive and Fox Hill Drive. We received positive feedback on that as well. Pond Views Median Islands we installed last fall, both at the entrances to the subdivision from 19 Mile Road and 18 Mile Road. These have been effective in slowing traffic. It's visually, you can see it. I even had a call from a motorist that said, "Why'd you put these in? I have to slow down every time I go through them." So that was, thank you for that feedback. And yeah, that was the goal. We also put in quite a few RRFBs last fall at Utica Road and Dodge Park around the city center campus, 19 Mile Road, Canal Road, Clinton River Road. Stevenson High School, we put in the RFBs and enhancements to improve the pedestrian safety at the high school. And this summer, we completed the very similar improvements on Shana Road for Havel Elementary School just in time for UCS to start. We talked about this many times, but Plumbrook Road, we did the road narrowing, among other improvements, and we saw the average speeds go down quite a bit just through these lane narrowing procedures. The speed limit pavement markings we've done on Vice Rail. We got a couple more that we're doing this summer as well. The tree canopy and frontage trees we've planted with planning, and DPW planted many trees this summer or this spring and more this fall. The picture on the left is Maureen Drive, which is kind of what the idea is, and what the study shows. When you have tree canopies on streets, traffic goes slower. So with all the benefits of the landscaping provides in the green economy, it also provides traffic calming. So the picture on the right, it's kind of hard to see all the trees, but there were many gaps in this on Sarah Drive. This was down at the southwest part of the city, but many trees were improved and eventually will form a canopy and provide traffic calming measures in that regard. We are also, with our local road program, we identified 2 projects where we're installing medians. The picture on the left is Ketson Drive that comes off of 15 Mile Road. It's a main thoroughfare to get into the 14 Mile and DeQuinder area sub. So we're in the middle of pouring that roadway. I think we're in phase 3 or 4, so that'll be done shortly. And also on the right is Brome Drive. We're reconstructing the west end of Brome and installing these same type median with this project. 17 Mile Road is under construction right now, Van Dyke to Mound, where we will be putting these median islands both on the west end and the east end as well. And on 18 Mile Road, which is under construction right now, we just paved the south half yesterday, but we'll be putting the RFBs and improving the mid-block crossing at Hamilton, and this Hamilton Drive leads to Schwarzkopf Elementary School. So we have crossing guards there, and these improvements will really help the crossing guards and the kids make these crossings. 15 in Dodge Park, we've looked at the traffic pattern in here was kind of funky. If you ever drove southbound on Dodge Park, there's 2 lanes that go straight in the left turn lane. So we're looking at, we had a study done, we had traffic counts done. It made sense to put dual left turns coming southbound to eastbound 15 Mile Road. We're incorporating these improvements with the signal improvements that are underway as well. So coming out of the plaza there, if you're familiar with the area, that'll be a designated a turning movement there that will be under vehicle detection. So it won't always be operating, but it'll give its own separate signal phase, so we can improve the safety of that intersection and eliminate the T-bone type crashes, hopefully. 15 and Shaner, we looked at the curvature of the road and the intersection. The signals there and the curves provide a unique challenge for motorists. And so we looked at improving the signage in this area to provide more advanced warning for these curves and advanced warning for the signal head coming out of the curve into the signal. So working with the county on improving the signalization in this area, again, to provide the more advanced warning for motorists. We've applied earlier this summer for a SS4A demonstration grant. This is like the second part of the SS4A grant to make our plan. We've applied for many different items such as speed cushions, at 10 locations. A really exciting part that I think is special emphasis crosswalk pavement markings. So we're looking at, if you see the top right picture is a ladder type crossing. We're looking to install those at all major roadways and at all school crossings within subdivisions. So there was 60 school crossings that would receive these as well. Curb extensions, bailouts, mini traffic circles are also part of the plan, and this project would fund incorporating that into some of our neighborhood roads as well. Like I said, the grant application is made in 2025 as a $2 million project, so it'll provide a lot of funds for these type of improvements. I'd like to note that we're still using this traffic calming website and dashboard. It's still open. So if you go to www.sterlingheights.gov/traffic calming, you can file a request. A report that's on the left is the application that you will see. So the dots are all requests that we have. Our traffic task force still meets monthly, goes over these, and we will be going over the next few months in more detail to select roadways in anticipation of the demonstration grant that we applied for. Another future opportunity, we talked about this quite a bit, so I won't get too much into it, is the implementation grant for Ryan Road. We made application this summer for $25 million for phase 1, which is 14-mile to 16-mile road, and it would include the intersection of 15 and Ryan, which is one of our most dangerous intersections of the city. We're looking at a boulevard section with pedestrian improvements, and then we have plans for phase 2 and phase 3. Another future opportunity is a highway grants through the state. So you can make 2 applications. So we did. We applied for $750,000 for improvements on Saul and Stadler, and this includes working with UCS on Grebner. UCS is reconstructing Grebner this year. So we made a pedestrian and a crossing plan that incorporates some of our ideas within our traffic calming plan, some really cool ideas. So that also includes some curb bump outs, pedestrian crossing, things like that you see in the picture below. The second one that we applied for was for the area at Triangle, Utica Road and 19.5-mile road. So we did get a lot of feedback in this area that it's dangerous, and PD scouted the area and they agreed there's a lot of pedestrians crossing here, and it's the way it's configured now, there's not a good safe place to do that. And there's also lanes that run out into each other. So we're looking at improving this area with this grant. And then we also looked at improving Canal Road pedestrian crossing by the park there too. And where we're looking at that is eliminating one of the right turn lanes. So we're shortening the distance pedestrians have to cross and putting a pedestrian salvage island at that location. Lastly, we are also taking this plan to incorporate into some of our projects that are off in the future. Lakeside Mall, we're looking at including raised crosswalks. We just had our traffic task force meeting yesterday, and seeing how can we make pedestrian improvements safer within this development. And that is one of the topics that came up yesterday and something that we were looking to include. Median islands as well, curb extensions, frontage trees, all of those items that we're looking to include. And then Clinton River Road, which we're going through the scoping now, is, using a lot of mid-block trail crossings. There's a lot of amenities on the west side of the road and residential on the east side of the road. So trying to make a safe crossings to get pedestrians back and forth. Hopefully I kept that kind of quick. Thank you for your time. Available for any questions.
Mayor, I just wanted to thank our city engineer, Mr. Bayshaw, our entire planning office, and our traffic calming task force, who have been working really hard on all these initiatives. One project I wanted to close on that is also safety oriented for not only motorists but pedestrians, especially in the winter months and fall when it gets darker earlier, is the lighting on Metro Parkway between Van Dyke and Shaner. So that is going to begin this year. That will be the last segment of Metro Parkway that needs to be lit up, and that will be a vast improvement as well. And Mayor, that concludes my report. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Vanderpool. First item on our agenda tonight is a public hearing. This is to consider adoption of a resolution supporting and authorizing the submission of the application by the City of Sterling Heights for a conversion of grant-assisted property for purposes of retaining the existing canine training area within L.W. Baumgartner Major Park located at 1500 Mile Road, Sterling Heights, Michigan 48312. We do have a presentation from our Parks and Recreation Director, Kyle Langloy. Mr. Langloy.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Taylor. Good evening, members of council, all gathered here tonight. The public hearing this evening, as you heard, is in regards to a partial conversion of grant-assisted property at L.W. Baumgartner Park, located on 50 Mile between Shaner and Dodge Park Roads. So although I did include quite a bit of information in the agenda packet, I also wanted to provide a little bit of context information to that before we open up for public comment. So first, consistent with the development of our park system decades ago, Baumgartner Park was developed in the late 1960s with federal grant funds from the Land and Water Conservation Fund, which does require the city to keep park available for public outdoor recreation in perpetuity. For reference, 19 grants have been received to acquire and develop parkland over the years in Sterling Heights. And as I believe everybody knows, we do have a 20th in the works, which is to acquire property adjacent to Rotary Park as well, which is currently operated by the canoe and kayak operation there. So the request for partial conversion in Baumgartner Park first came into concept and discussion in the summer of 2023, when the city and state of Michigan's Department of Natural Resources team were collaborating on other potential projects at that park location. We had a lot of back and forth discussion, a lot of requests for clarification, and at the end of the day, it was determined that the canine training area that was installed in the year 2000 and later dedicated to the late Rich Hines would need to be addressed. Given this history, it was determined that the outcome with the greatest results would be to pursue a partial conversion of grant-assisted property. As required by grant guidelines, a conversion of property requires the provision of mitigating land of equal or greater size, recreational value, and appraised value in order to be considered for approval. If the conversion is approved, the section of land is removed from the grant-assisted park boundaries. For clarification, it doesn't remove the section from the park proper. Ultimately, it's just removed from the scope of the grant, which takes it out of conversation for future grant-related topics and conversations. So before getting to this point tonight, city staff has gone through a variety of due diligence tasks to gauge the feasibility of this partial conversion in order to meet the requirements listed above. First, we had a conceptual plan discussion and received preliminary approval to proceed with next steps by the National Park Service and the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. Second, we completed multiple federally approved Yellow Book appraisals, which were included in the support documents. Third, we have promoted via public notice in the newspaper and on our website that we are having a 30-day public review and comment period on this proposal. As of this meeting, we have received 0 comments in the folder at the community center, and I received no phone calls. We have, however, received 3 emails about the subject matter. One was seeking clarification on whether this would impact the Red Run Park development that was approved with the most recent Pathway to Play and Preservation millage. The second shared feedback and desires to ensure that the park areas surrounding the training area be maintained and improved to best support park use, as well as ensure that the mitigation parcels are truly equitable replacements with improvements that our residents can enjoy. The third inquired about the parcels and whether they were eligible for mitigation based on Land and Water Conservation Fund guidelines and how the subsequent pathways millage might have affected that. All correspondences will be submitted in the final application to the DNR and National Park Service per the conversion requirements. I will also make note that the first email was just unsure of how the two parks kind of were situated in comparison to each other, so that was quickly addressed. They were pleased with that. The second was pleased with the plans that we are continuing to find ways to connect Baumgartner Park and Red Run Park together through our conceptual plan that ultimately will include a bridge crossing for pedestrians to get back and forth. And also that the mitigation property will be a major component of the Rotary Park reimagination with the PPP millage as well. So I did also mention, as I'll mention here as well, but that we did already reduce the canine training area by about half of an acre to help with the mitigation. So we've already returned half an acre back to Baumgartner Park as well. And in terms of the third inquiry about how the pathways millage might have affected the Land and Water Conservation Fund guidelines, we were very upfront with the state of Michigan and the National Park Service about how the mitigation land would be situated next to or adjacent to the parcels that we were looking to acquire from Clinton River Canoe and Kayak, which was also adjacent to Rotary Park, so they were very familiar with the fact that it was going to be contiguous parkland over the course of time and had approved based on that information as well. So I believe we've addressed all of those. Speaking of the plan, I have highlighted on the screen the map. This is the canine training area. This is the area of Baumgartner Park. It is in green with the arrow. That area is totaling roughly 2.28 acres towards the southern boundary of the park. This area is pretty marshy, close to the Red Run Drain there, so it wasn't very desirable land in regards to how the park was operating, which is why that was initially thought of as an opportunity to put that canine training area in there. And again, as mentioned, we have already reduced that space by half an acre. You can actually see on the diagram at the south end of the southern border of the canine training area, you can see where the fence actually was previously situated. So pretty good chunk of space that was vacated to make this a slightly smaller area. In addition, this map on the screen that you see has the areas approximately 4.94 acres along Utica Road in pink, so also along Palmer Woods Boulevard. So as you see to the east and south of the areas, that's the Clinton River Canoe and Kayak site, and just to the east of that is our existing Rotary Park property as well. So you can see how this would be very viable and very attractive space to use as mitigation property for this conversion. The mitigation parcels were purchased in 2024 in an unrelated transaction, but can be used for this purpose and will be now preserved as outdoor recreation in perpetuity as part of this agreement if the conversion and when the conversion becomes official. The mitigation parcel not only is greater in size, 4.94 acres compared to 2.28, it also has equivalent recreational value, with it being contiguous to the master plan for the reimagined plan at Rotary Park, as we discussed. And I would say that considering what Rotary Park truly is set to become, I would argue that this has greater recreational value than the area at Baumgartner Park, in the space that the canine training area is currently occupying. This will provide recreational value truly for local residents for generations to come. Equally as important, appraisals identified that the financial value of the mitigation parcels that you see on the screen exceeds that of the value of the canine training area at Baumgartner Park by $31,800, which means that all land value criteria has been met according to this stage of the conversion process. At the conclusion of this public hearing, and if the resolution of support is adopted by City Council tonight, we will be completing the architectural and archaeological reviews with our established contractor, who we have under contract. We will also be preparing the compliance and stewardship and environmental impact forms with the goal to submit the final application for partial conversion by the end of the 2025 calendar year. Based on information I've received from past conversions, we most recently did one at Puffin Park, should expect a time frame of 3 to 6 months before we get any ruling by the National Park Service once we submit our final application for review. So we're clicking along in this, but certainly a long ways away from having this officially done. I will say, though, that even though we are going through this process, we do remain in good standing with the state of Michigan and the National Park Service. In fact, we had this open conversion on the I guess, on our record when we went for the acquisition for the property that Clinton River Canoe and Kayak has, and that did not prohibit us from getting that acquisition grant. So they're familiar with this. They are working collaboratively with us to get this over the finish line, which is fantastic that we, are working together to make this right by taxpayers of Michigan. Also want to make sure that I mentioned that we want to remind all in attendance that the public hearing comments need to be directed specific to the partial conversion of the grant-assisted property at Baumgartner Park, and then also the mitigation property at Rotary Park. So trying to keep the comments to just those two items as opposed to the greater picture of the millage or anything else would be important to the public hearing tonight. With that, I will pass it back to you, Mayor, to open it up, and I'm here to answer questions or provide any further clarification.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Langlois. I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to speak on this item? If not, I will close the public hearing. Council, we need a motion.
Mayor Taylor,
Mrs. Schmidt.
resolve to adopt the resolution supporting and authorizing the submission of the application by the City of Sterling Heights for a conversion of grant-assisted property for purposes of retaining the existing K-9 training area within L.W. Baumgartner Major Park located at 13000 15 Mile Road, Sterling Heights, Michigan 48312.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion, Mrs. Schmidt?
Just a couple of comments. Mr. Langlois, you really went over this in depth. I think it's really a technicality that we are doing this land swap and actually increasing our property, which should make the state extremely happy. It's really important to emphasize that this K-9 training facility remain with our police department. This is a really important piece of equipment and tools for our K-9 officers, not only in Sterling Heights, but around the whole area. They come from all around. On Wednesdays, you can see sheriffs and police department cars from all over southeast Michigan. So it's a really, really good piece of training equipment that I think is important that we keep where it is and how it is. So I'm in full support of this, and thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
Nothing further, Mayor.
Thank you, Mrs. Schmidt. Council, anyone else?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Yanez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the chair to Mr. Langlois. There was a lot of documentation here, so if I missed something, I apologize, but I was looking for any potential contamination from any dumping, whether legal or illegal, on any of these properties. We had a discussion back last year in regards to potential development at 15 and Shaner, and we found that there had been dumping there, and I'm just wondering if that has been looked into yet, or is that something that somebody's going to look into in the near future?
Mr. Langlois.
Yes, thank you. Baumgartner Park is a known landfill site, so that has been and has remained as such. So we developed on a landfill, and that has been a capped landfill for decades. So
I am a little more concerned with the Palmer Woods and the kayak areas.
So the Palmer Woods areas is floodplain is our concern at this point. Again, canoe and kayak would be a separate separate piece to the puzzle, because that's not part of the,
Okay.
the conversion, so.
So just to be clear, the environmental impact study is our impact on the environment for developing that property.
Exactly, yep, so it's almost a misnomer, in terms of environmental impact, but it does take into account, what it potentially means to, neighbors. It takes into, potential account traffic in the area, noise, things like that. So, it's not as specific about, dumping, contaminating the soil, using the property. It's how it would impact the property around.
I get that. I'm just concerned. Do we know that there has never been any illegal dumping there? Are they going to start work on this property at some point, and all of a sudden they're going to find something that we wish we had found out before we even started the project?
So I will say that, as we get into the reimagination of, again, Rotary Park, as a total, we will be doing environmental, no different than we did with Red Run Park as we are going through our design, because that does play a role in how we ultimately design the park and reconstruct the park.
Okay, and that's coming, right?
It will be forthcoming.
Okay, very good. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Yanez. Mr. Radke?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just briefly, I would follow what Councilman Yanez said. With the pullback of the fences for the canine area in Baumgartner Park, what are we going to do with that excess land that we've taken back now? Through the chair to Mr. Langley.
Mr. Langley?
At this point, it's just back to natural parkland. I won't call it undeveloped because we cut the grass. If anything, it gives our residents and park patrons an opportunity to walk along the drain where they really couldn't get as close to the drain before. So there's not an established path, there's not an asphalt path, but it's basically mowed grass that people can now walk and use in the park.
Are we thinking of using this land for the connection to Red Run Park? Or, I guess, declaring land a park and it just being grass isn't much of a park. It's just, we're saying it's a park now. So I'm curious how we're going to reprogram or work on Baumgartner Park to make it better now, what I'm asking.
So the connection to Red Run Park will be further to the west, based on the size of the Red Run drain and where it'll make the most sense to cross. How that ultimately gets used in the future, if that side of Baumgartner Park and the drain becomes, it is now a viable opportunity to use. If we want to install some pathway or something else to activate that space more, we can do that. Green space is important too. Undeveloped and unactivated green space is important in parks, but I think as we get further into the Red Run Park development and see how people want to utilize Baumgartner Park more now that we have that space, I think it opens the door for us to do any number of things. No specific plan right this second, though.
Well, that's my concern. We're talking about linking Baumgartner to Red Run Park, and I'm excited about that. But right now, Baumgartner basically serves as soccer fields and baseball diamonds. So I don't know why someone would walk to Baumgartner Park to do anything besides use the restroom, because there's no other activities available for young residents, young families, anything else. So I think as part of this whole process, we really need to reevaluate what's the point? What's the point of putting a pedestrian bridge in besides providing access if, you cross the bridge into Baumgartner and there's nothing to do? That's something on my top of mind.
So, and that will be our final connection piece of the Iron Belt Trail as well. So that's part of the connection too. There's a playground there for people to utilize. There is open space again for people to utilize or park. But the connection isn't just to connect the two parks together. Certainly that's an option, and we'll provide a non-motorized option for residents that are on the north side of the drain. But that does also complete our connection of Iron Belt Trail in Sterling Heights too.
And I quibble with what some of my colleagues said. It's not a technicality. We've been illegally using parkland that we use grant money to purchase for a canine facility, which is a necessary evil. We need a canine facility, but it was a choice, and now we're correcting it. And I think it was the Park Service, if I'm wrong, Mr. Langley, that informed us that we were illegally using the land. Am I correct?
Mr. Langley?
Yeah, we were looking at some other uses of the park, and as we were surveying the park in the different areas, it was noted by the state of Michigan inquiring as to what the fenced-in area was, and And so that's, as conversations kept going, recognized that it wasn't a spot that was truly open to the public in perpetuity for grant guidelines, and so that's when the conversations.
Well, I'm glad we're correcting it. And I'm going to be supportive of this proposal to fix that. And I know this was before your time, but I'm hopeful in the future we won't have other instances like this from occurring. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Radke. Mrs. Sarowski.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. So just very briefly, I have a couple of comments, and I've been to Baumgartner Park quite a few times. It's, there's different types of parks. We have, Dodge Park, which has the trails and play areas and everything, really. And so many things for many different needs and wants. But parks that afford sporting activities are very important, especially in the summertime when you have Parks and Recs teams or even private teams that use those parks, because they're not maybe on a school team. So I don't have, I like Baumgarten, the uses we've used so far. I think that it has been a bit of, not as multi-use as other parks are, but that still serves a very good purpose. Like that we still have the, and we're going to keep the playground area there. So there is something that kids, especially living further east to that park, can use. But I really am very happy about these parcels that are purchased, because they're specific and they're very intentional and mindful of what we want to do with the canoe and kayak space. Great ideas. I have really no questions for Mr. Langley. Oh, no, I don't. Had one when I got answered. And that's it. So I'm just very happy to see this. I think it's a great use of, swapping land for even more of a purposeful use. The canine area, we are, and we should be very proud of our canine unit and our canine officers and their handlers. They are amazing animals and amazing men and women that handle those animals. And they serve an extremely important purpose in law enforcement. And they use them, military as well. Canines are very, very important to use in all types of policing. And I'm just very happy that we're going to keep it here. And thank you very much. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Sarowski. Anyone else? Mrs. Zarko.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank Mr. Langley for doing this, because in just showing us the process. And it's not easy, it's complicated, and I think you explained everything in your presentation. And I know you want to limit the discussion, but when the parks, the Michigan parks, noted that we were misusing this property, was there anything else that came up in what we've been doing that we'd have to go through this process for another park? Even if we don't do it like right now, if we could put that on the radar to check in to make sure that we, find it ourselves rather than the state find it, would be probably the way to go. And I agree that we have to keep the training park there for the canine units, because it's used throughout the county. There's somebody there using it every Wednesday. So, and I appreciate the fact that we can help other communities, because we don't need to duplicate that in every city when we can have it right here. So nothing further, and thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Zarko. Mrs. Koski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the chair to Mr. Lanquist. You mentioned that Baumgartner Park is a landfill. Doesn't the city have records of all the landfills located in Sterling Heights? I want to guess and say that I remember like a list of 7 or 11, and there are ways to mitigate that, to hardcover it and make use of it. And if any of the other properties that you're combining here happen to be a landfill, you'll be able to handle that quite well.
Mr. Langley.
Yeah, there is a list. The county keeps, a list as well, and so we have access to those lists. And certainly, there's redevelopment of sites, brownfield sites, or contaminated areas. It's not abnormal. It certainly can be done, and if it's necessary, we will be prepared to do that, to make sure that it's safe and usable for our residents.
We have to remember we were farmland, and the farmers had to have a place to put their waste. So they did, right along 15-Mile Road. My only other comment is the Canine Training Center is extremely well used, as it's been said. And we have won championship awards there, so I'm very, very proud of our K-9 unit there, and I'm very happy to see that you were able to work that out so that they can continue. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Koski. Council, with no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much for your presentation and report, Mr. Langley. Next up on our agenda tonight is an ordinance introduction, and this is to consider introduction of an ordinance amending Articles 26, 28, and 31 of zoning ordinance number 278 to regulate the location and use of ground-mounted, roof-mounted, carport, and building integrated solar energy systems. We have a presentation from our city planner, Dr. Jake Parcell. Dr. Parcell.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor, members of council, Mr. Vanderpool and Mr. Koszewski. I am here this evening in place of Ms. Weinberg to present the solar ordinance. I do want to take a moment to thank her as the liaison to the Sustainability Commission for her hard work on this. So we are sad she couldn't be here to present it, but we look forward to hearing your feedback. So as background, the ordinance was drafted by the Sterling Heights Sustainability Commission throughout the course of 2024. They made a resolution in February of this year to recommend adoption to City Council. Then, in terms of our normal process, it was reviewed by the Planning Commission at their July meeting, where it was recommended unanimously for City Council to adopt the ordinance. Solar is currently something that is existing in the city based on best practices. It is reviewed by the building department, although not expressly allowed in the zoning ordinance. So when looking at this in terms of what we're doing from a sustainable aspect, we recognized a gap in practicality of how it's being applied through permitting, and then how our ordinance needs to address it and work to modify that so that we have some type of regulation on it. So the purpose of this amendment is to codify what's currently being allowed, and then to allow for modest and reasonable expansion for solar generation as an accessory use. So what you'll see in this ordinance not being included is solar generation as a principal or accessory use on a large utility scale. So you won't be able to have on any lot, large utility solar. It's to kind of supplement what you have on all of your lots in the zoning districts from an energy standpoint for the lot itself. It's also not a comprehensive zoning policy for solar energy generation. We look forward to addressing more sustainable land practices like that in our upcoming zoning ordinance rewrite, but it is something that is allowing for people to have it on their homes or businesses. So the types of solar that this would permit is roof-mounted, ground-mounted, carport, and building integrated, which I will cover as we move forward. But we do want to mention that there are some safeguards in this ordinance for adjacent properties. First and foremost, it has to be designed and located in order to prevent reflective glare, something the Sustainability Commission was very involved with. That way, people in the public right-of-way, adjacent property owners aren't having glare created from soil or solar. It's not a huge concern with how some of them are oriented or tilted, but it possibly could be. So we want to make sure that we have some ability to look at the tilt on them as we place them through the building permitting process. Also, if something is a non-conforming structure, and they do want to add something like a solar roof or a solar panel to a carport, it would not be considered an expansion of a nonconformity since it's just an augment to the structure itself. So the first one we address is roof-mounted solar systems, probably the one that most people from a residential aspect are familiar with. This permits it as an accessory structure in all zoning districts, except for P1, which is the parking district, because we don't anticipate that one existing following our ordinance rewrite, or in the floodplain, because we don't want to, we typically don't have any structure in the floodplain. So we don't believe that it should be accounted for in the list of them. So it would be permitted as an accessory structure. It's permitted on principal and accessory buildings, so sheds, garages, things like that. No longer is required to be flush against the roof. So there's different kinds of solar technology. Some come up 3 inches, some come up a bit further and they can tilt. But the safeguard in here is that it cannot exceed 10 feet above the roof. So if you think of a commercial or an industrial building that has it on the roof, they're allowed to tilt up to a maximum height of 10 feet. That way it can kind of catch the sun at its appropriate angle. In my research, catching up on this for this evening, the appropriate tilt that's recommended for the city of Sterling Heights is approximately 30 degrees based on our latitude. So we don't anticipate them to be tilted to a very significant degree. Although for what is a peaked roof, you probably wouldn't see much tilt at all, other than a certain angle based on the season, because otherwise you'd be over showing where the sun is actually hitting on the peak of the roof. Second is ground-mounted systems, probably the second one that most people are familiar with. Again, permitted in all districts other than P1 vehicular parking and floodplain areas. These cannot exceed 15 feet in height or 10 feet in height in residential lots less than a quarter acre. These height mirror what accessory structures are allowed. So we just copied that from our accessory structure in section 28 of the zoning ordinance. For residential districts, it must be placed in the rear yard, and it is subject to a 3-foot side and rear yard setback, which again mirrors the accessory structure requirements. May be located in the side yard of other districts, subject to a minimum 3-foot rear and side yard setback, or at least half of the otherwise required side yard setback, whichever is greater. So good example is in like M2, which is our heavy industrial district. You have to have a larger setback for clearance. You would only be able to go 7.5 feet into the setback rather than all the way 3 feet to it. So we do accommodate for some wide range of setbacks throughout all the zoning districts there. And then lot coverage is limited to 20% of the parcel in which the system is located. Carport systems are allowed in all residential districts and R2 two-family districts. Maximum height is 20 feet, which is typical for a carport. So it really wouldn't be adding on to any significant height in carports. It would be, if it is existing, it would be falling under what's roof mounted. But this way, when you construct a carport new as part of a single or multifamily development, you would then be able to install the carport with the solar panels on it, which is something we have been encouraging people to do already. If they are bringing forward a concept that does have a carport, we just haven't had any of them that's been brought forth to any board or commission yet. Then finally, building integrated. This is one of the newest ones. This includes things like the Tesla solar roof and other similar systems. So there are like shingles and other types of technology that actually can be solar panels now. And then they lie flat, flush on the roof. So they're built integrated into the structure itself inherently, rather than placed on top of the existing structure. This would be allowed in any zoning district where the underlying building is allowed. So from a permitting standpoint, all systems would need a building permit. We've reviewed this with the Office of Building to ensure that they are comfortable with it and that it mirrors what they already are doing to review these permits. Would have to comply with all relevant building and electric codes, which update over time. Outside of the zoning ordinance, so any best practices in the building industry would be mirrored through this ordinance. Then the addition of carport solar would not require preliminary site plan approval. So if you have a structure that you're erecting, so if you have an existing home or R2 development that has a carport you're adding into it, instead of having to go to planning commission just to add the solar onto the carport, you can now do that administratively to kind of make a path a little easier for people who want to install any type of solar energy onto that structure. So with that, I am open for any questions. Like I mentioned, Ms. Weinberg did a huge lift on this one, and I am not quite the expert in sustainability that she is, but I will do my best, as well as the chair of our Sustainability Commission, who I imagine may provide some insight on how it went through the process at the Sustainability Commission. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Parcell. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this item? Mr. Inks? Mr. Chairman?
It's his birthday today.
Happy birthday, Mr. Inks.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Look at him here at the city council meeting with 3 or 4 other of our 135,000 residents.
I won't admit to what other things I've attended meetings on, but you can ask Dr. Parcell about that later, and he'll
I'll
throw me
ask
under the bus.
Meredith.
You got that one right. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. I just wanted to briefly correct one thing from Dr. Parcell's presentation, and if any council members have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. For the carport solar, I think he misread that slide. It would be allowed on everything other than residential. The carport solar would envision, if anybody's familiar with Michigan State University's parking lots and what they've installed for their carport solar up there, this would allow solar panels that are actually forming the carports themselves, as opposed to going on top of an existing carport. So where we would likely see this would be, some of our industrial sites or potentially very large commercial sites
maybe some of the automotive sites or BAE, if they have large parking lots and they want to do something with those parking lots, they could install carport solar that would generate electricity over their parking lot, but would not be allowed in any of the residential districts. If somebody has a carport already, if they want to install a solar panel on that, that would just be a roof-mounted solar energy system. Yeah, solar energy system. So just want to make that one very brief correction. Other than that, Dr. Purcell did a very good job of providing an overview. And if anybody has any questions about the process or details on the ordinance, I'm happy to answer those questions.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Inks. Appreciate you being here. And again, happy birthday. Anyone else on this item? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mayor Taylor.
Mrs. Sarowski.
Resolved to introduce the ordinance amending Articles 26, 28, and 31 of zoning ordinance number 278 to regulate the location and use of ground-mounted, roof-mounted, carport, and building-integrated solar energy systems.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion, Mrs. Sarowski?
Very briefly, thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank Dr. Parcells and the Sustainability Commission, including Mr. Inks, for putting this together. This is wonderful, brilliant. I'm a state grad, Michigan State grad, and I've been up there when my son was up there and saw those carports and thought, that's brilliant. It's multi-use, it has great function. It's still got you need to park cars. When I was there, there's no place to park. So it was, I really think that that's one of the great options. No problems with this at all. I do have a question, though, and I can direct this through the chair to Dr. Parcells, if I could, please. Doctor, is there any heat generated, localized heat, not energy, that we would use in the home, but localized heat generated, like a heat island created from these solar panels?
My understanding, and thank you for the question, is that there is not, because of the reflective nature of it. It works in a way where it doesn't create or enhance a heat island. I would have to look into a more technical answer for you on that, but my belief is that it does not. And because this is on such a small scale, parcel by parcel, it's really not significantly a concern to me. If it was something where we're looking at 15 acres, then yeah, I would have to probably look into it a little more significantly for a utility grade solar farm. But the small systems like this, I don't think are much of a concern.
And the reason I'm asking, thank you, Doctor, is that residents may be concerned their neighbor's going to have this reflective thing, and is it going to be so hot? It's going to create a little heat wind or heat area cushion right behind their home. So you're saying that at this point, it doesn't, do not believe that is the case?
No, to the best of my knowledge, I don't believe so.
Okay, so we will rely on that. So that was my only question, and I appreciate this very much. So thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Sarowski. Council, anyone else? Mr. Radke.
Thank you. Like Mayor Pro Tem Sarowski, I want to thank the Sustainability Commission for their work on this. I think it's kind of very smart. It basically mimics accessory structures throughout our community. If you can put up a shed, you can now put up a solar array. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And it's almost kind of like a ordinance in a box. It seems to be that there's nothing really to hash out here, so I'm happy to support it. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Radke. Anyone else? No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Parcell, and thank you, Mr. Inks, for being here tonight and for your work on the Sustainability Commission, bringing us things like this. This is exactly what we had in mind. So thank you. All right, next item on our agenda tonight is an ordinance introduction. This is to consider introduction of an ordinance amending Article 6, Chapter 2 of the City Code to update and enhance the bidding requirements of contractors for public improvement projects, with a presentation from our Assistant City Attorney, Donald Denal. Mr. Denal.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, members of council, Mr. Vanderpool, Mr. Koszewski, and everybody in attendance tonight. I am not alone. I brought the expert with me too. Eric Skirta, our purchasing manager, is here, so I won't profess to be an expert in how we do what we do, but I am here to present to you tonight an ordinance that was requested by Mr. Yanez back when I was actually sitting up there with all of you, and we have developed this ordinance for council to take a look at this evening. This is called a responsible contractor ordinance, and when it was proposed that we prepare this, it had three goals. encourage qualified contractors to bid to perform work in the city of Sterling Heights, encourage quality work and ensured quality work and make sure it's performed by an experienced workforce with proper oversight by contractors that have a documented history of high performance, and to provide the best value for the city's residents. Always looking for an opportunity to start learning AI because it's such a big thing these days. I asked ChatGPT a little bit about responsible contractor ordinances, and those three goals are very similar to what it came up with. ChatGPT felt, and Google AI both, felt that responsible contractor ordinances tend to promote fair labor practices, quality workmanship, community benefits, promote safety, and protect workers, and ensure that public money supports companies that invest in the community. So those are similar to the concepts that we were charged with developing. Ultimately, the ordinance before you is an amendment of existing provisions in the city code. This draft codifies pretty much everything that the city of Sterling Heights and its purchasing department already does. And it's developed for large-scale projects that exceed $250,000. And it essentially codifies and requires that any bidder for big projects like that submit a lot of basic information. We want to know your history as a business. We want to make sure everybody you're using is licensed. We want to know that you comply with all state and federal laws, that you have certifications about all the training that your people have been through, your evidence of experience with various construction techniques and standards and projects and workmanship. We want to know if you've been in litigation over any of the work that you've done. We want to know if you've been banned by anybody or been found non-responsible or non-compliant with any public or private construction projects. Fitness for duty, and what kind of programs you have for your employees in terms of drugs and alcohol and concerns like that at the job site. Affirming that you're going to follow all state and federal wage laws and local laws, and ensuring that you understand our requirements as a city. So again, most of that, or just about all of that, is sort of what the purchasing department does now, and by codifying that, we would simply be reducing it to the city code. It would become part of the city code for bidders to understand and see in advance. And I think with that, I will defer to council and the mayor, and if Mr. Skirta obviously is also here, if any of you have any questions for him.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Denault. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this item? Yes, sir?
Mayor, council, fellow residents. My name is Jacob Bottoms. I've been a resident for 28 years. I wanted to speak in support of this ordinance as I think our city should be one of quality. I believe these standards will not only raise the quality of the work done, but also make our job sites safer and the projects more affordable in the long run. As a tradesman myself, I've seen how lower quality contractors can make job sites unsafe, from subpar materials to unsafe practices by employees. You don't want to see work have to be redone, costing more for materials and labor. By having higher standards, I think we can have a better quality of life for our city. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Anyone else on this item? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor.
I'm going to give it to Mr. Yanes.
Resolved to introduce the ordinance amending Article 6 of Chapter 2 of the City Code to update and enhance the bidding requirements of contractors for public improvement projects.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion, Mr. Yanes?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. I have one to Mr. Skirta, through the chair, if he could come up. Mr. Skirta, is there, this ordinance, the way it's written, is there anything that is additive or subtractive from what we already do that you flagged?
As far as subtracting or taking away, no.
Okay.
As far as adding, this just requires us to have an additional form and information submitted by the contractors with their bid.
Okay, and this wouldn't require the city to hire any more people to go over paperwork or anything like that?
No, in my opinion, no.
Okay, and if you know, when we do a large job like we did the community center several years ago, who was there's a lot of requirements in this. Who is responsible for making sure that all the safety programs, the wages are being paid appropriately? Who's responsible for all that? Is it the general contractor?
I guess it depends on the way that the contract is set up for those particular jobs. So if we hire an architectural firm to oversee that part of the contract, and it's within their scope of work, then yes, we would rely on those professional services at the time to verify when those invoices are all coming in and the projects are moving along, that those are certified and notarized before we actually receive them for review and approval of payment.
Okay, thank you. One of the biggest concerns that's taking place across the country is this idea of wage. I'm not directing this to you. You can sit down if you like, or you can stand there, whichever you like to do. But there's this idea of wage theft, where, there's a prevailing wage. The contractor says they're paying their workers this prevailing wage, but in reality, they pay them a lower, lesser wage, and they skim the prevailing amount off the top. And that's probably one of my biggest concerns as far as, we're hiring professional people to come here and do a job, to get paid a professional wage, especially journeymen, certain apprentices and so forth. And we want to make sure that they're getting paid what we're paying. When we approve a contract, we're saying we're going to pay X amount. We want to make sure that the money goes to the people who earn it, right? And so I guess I have a little bit of a concern that if we turn something over to a general contractor, we're not really following the dollars. We're leaving it up to somebody else. I don't know that it's ever happened here. I know it's happened in other places, not only across the country, but here in Michigan. That is a concern I have. I don't have an answer for that, but I do want to express that concern. I hope that by codifying this into law, that we actually have some teeth to hold people's feet to the fire when it comes to agreeing to a contract. You don't have to respond to that. I'm making a speech now, but that's all I have. I do have one other thing for Mr. Denault. He doesn't need to come up. You just sit right there. I want to know how much Chat GPT charges per hour. I'm just curious. I have to know. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Chat GPT charges whatever the lawyer on the other end of the computer is charging.
Spoken by a lawyer.
And I know that firsthand. Counsel, anyone else? Mr. Radke?
Mr. Mayor, briefly, I fully support this ordinance. I think it will, you can sit down, Mr. Skirta. I think it will benefit the city and the community. I remember when I first got elected and we were just starting to build the community center. And I came here one day and there were workers in an unboxed trench with bucket trucks moving over their heads, and they weren't wearing any visibility outfits. And I was really worried about them because those buckets can take off their head. And it didn't seem very safe. And I think that this ordinance will better codify and protect us from that happening again. I think it'll make our job sites safer. I think it'll have a higher quality contractor. And I think that'll lead to efficiencies and better work in the long run. So I'm happy to support this. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Radke. Counsel, anyone else?
Mr. Mayor?
Mrs. Kosky.
Just one quick question. Through the chair to Mr. Skirta. You said that this is something that you have been doing right along. It's quite a bit of information that you gather. Now, my question is, if you have repeat contractors, are you able to just maybe update their information, or do they have to fill out a totally new form?
Well, we do have several repeat contractors, but we include the same forms within every single solicitation. So this language that we're presenting would actually codify them to update their information within 30 days of their information changing. Okay, so that way, even if we're mid-contract, it's not just a new contract, we would know that information immediately and be able to make a determination on whether or not they're complying.
That's all I wanted to know. Thank you very much. You're doing a great job.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. Koski. Council, anyone else?
Mayor Taylor,
Mrs. Schmidt.
through the chair, I guess, we'll start with you. Mr. Skirta. So this is basically covers everything that we're already doing, correct?
Yes.
However, it adds another layer or another burden onto the person that's submitting the bidding.
It could add a little bit, right? But for these types of contracts that are large in nature, that are for construction of public improvements and these dollar values and ranges, we're not making it so hard for them that it would deter them from bidding. But it does add another layer to their forms that they would have to fill out and make sure that they are updated on, yes.
Okay, and didn't we just go through something to make bidding easier? Okay. And I guess, I don't know if Mr. Denault wants to take this, but how would we have the wherewithal to see what somebody's paying their workers? I don't know, whoever wants to take it.
So I guess I can briefly speak about that one, but I may defer if it gets out of my realm. So right now, what we provided in the question and answer document is that under, let me get here. I know I have it. Public Act 105, local units of government are prohibited from requiring an employer or its employees to participate in any specific fringe benefit. So we don't really have the ability to dictate whether or not they are paid over and above what the federal minimum wage standards are. So whether or not we go into their we can't go into their files and find out what they're paying their employees. It's incumbent upon their employees to take that up with their employer. So we don't really have the ability to know that.
Okay, anything to add, Mr. Denault?
No, that was the best answer I could give. I think when you think about practices by the contractors, if they do something contrary to what they've represented to the city and it's brought to the city's attention, then of course, whether it's in an ordinance or whether we continue to do things the way we've been, either revocation or some other penalty type of oversight would probably kick in at that point. So it really does come down to whether or not we find out, not so much the city going into those records to find what they're paying people. That can't be done.
And the city can't really dictate what they pay their employees as long as it's above the federal or at the federal minimum wage.
Right. I think the whole point of the conversation as it began was just make sure they don't misrepresent to us what they're planning to do.
Okay. And then you brought up another point that I was going to ask about. So when we sign a contract with a company, I would assume, have a clause or a bond that they have to have to make up for anything that we find that they're doing wrong or, extended period beyond the contract. So that's typically what a contract entails, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right, I have nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Schmidt. Anyone else? Mrs. Zarko.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. I want to clarify, Mr. Skirta, this is just for, the changes are just for contractors for public improvement projects, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, I know that you don't have a crystal ball, but in the future, how many more of these projects do you foresee happening here in the city?
I hope very many.
You hope very many? Okay, and give us some examples, because I'm thinking that if this public improvements would be restoration, I would think of whether it be City Hall or it would be the community center, any of the buildings that we own would fall into this. How are we better off by passing these amendments?
Well, it really just forces the bidder to maintain updated information to the city. It also forces the bidder to self-certify that they're being honest throughout the entire process, right? So if we find that they're being not truthful, if you will, it's an automatic breach of contract, and we have now more ability to enact our bond to go after whatever the bond may be, if we're found for them to be working in a negative way against their contract. Now, historically, we haven't had to do that. So we've had great relationships with most of our contractors to date. But as far as construction of public improvements, we're thinking of only things that we can see above ground. We have a lot of underground infrastructure as well. So, and we do need to protect that along the way.
Okay. Do you see this as any infringement on a business and how they run their operations? Because I don't want to go the other way too, is that we're infringing on them and saying this is the way you got to run your business.
From the way that the language is presented, I don't see it being a major hindrance on the way they operate currently.
Okay, so we're not interfering in their process by doing this. Okay. And it's right, we have been trying to make things easier, and even the discussion we had this morning at the press conference was that how are we making it easier for a contractor or developer, and then to make it harder for them to, win a bid. But if you don't see a problem with this, I'm going with what you and Mr. Denault have researched. The other question I have is, have we researched other communities that are already using this verbiage in the bid process?
We did, yes. There's not a lot out there, but we did take a look at it, and that's, partially where we established our dollar threshold for this, is we did want to align with what partner or neighboring communities are all, have already done that actually have a responsible contractor ordinance.
And they didn't see a negative effect on adding this information?
Well,
Or are they asking for this information?
It, depending on the way that their language is written, it could vary slightly from ours, so I think it could potentially be an apples and oranges situation. So I wouldn't say that we have specific data that says it negatively or positively affects what they've done thus far.
Okay. I think that's it. So thank you for all that information and for all the work that you put into this.
Mrs. Sarowski.
Thank you, Mayor. So I just want to, this might be beating the dead horse, but I just want to be clear. So this is actually a question through the chair to Mr. Denault. Thank you, Mr. Skirta. This is a legal question. So this ordinance, and I read through it quite a few times, does this give us or provide us any I don't see it, so tell me if I'm wrong, provide guidelines to ensure that we seek damages if any information that's been given to us that is false, or they aren't able to follow, a bidder is not able to then follow the ordinance once they've been awarded that bid? Does this give us anything in this ordinance about our guidelines to go forward?
No, not really. Indirectly, I suppose it does. I think the goal here was to codify just the expectations that we have of the information being presented to us. We already ask for all of this. We already want all of this. We already make them, thoroughly document all of this. So this would just codify that in terms of our expectations. And then from there, we did put a few bullet points in there that say, if you do really bad things, then you're not even a responsible contractor. You're just eliminated automatically. But those are the real bad threshold things, like falsifying information in your presentation to the city. So beyond that, no, we don't get into in the ordinance those kinds of things. Those are contractual typically in nature. So.
So, and then what you're saying is if the contract is breached, then we would seek litigation if that comes to that. There may be.
Right, that'll be templated in the contract.
But yeah. Okay, that was really the only question. I just wanted to very much clarify that in case residents had that question, because I initially did, and I want to make sure. So thank you very much. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to vote yes on this. I do think that it's mostly things we're already doing. It's maybe adds a little bit of additional regulation on the businesses. But the flip side of that is that it adds a layer of protection for our residents and taxpayers. So I'm comfortable with this, and I think, you know, when you're talking about projects over $250,000, and many of these are significantly over $250,000, the contractors that we're hiring are going to want to demonstrate that they have the ability to do it, that they're doing things the right way. And the added administrative burden, I don't think, is going to shy many people away from bidding on this type of work and getting the best contractors we can. So I'm in favor. So council, with no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the consent agenda. Is there anybody who'd like to speak on any item on tonight's consent agenda? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mrs. Koski.
move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
It's been moved and supported. No discussion on favor. I thought I heard one. She did. She supported. She jumped in on you.
I'm looking here.
Looking down, sorry.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
With no discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Move on to communications from citizens. Is there anyone who'd like to speak on anything not on tonight's agenda? Not, we'll move on to reports from city administration. Mr. Vanderpool, anything tonight?
Nothing further, Mayor.
Mr. Koszybski?
No closed session.
Council, any reports or new business? Mr. Yanis?
I have a list, not a long list, but a list. So through the chair to the city manager, did we ever get a formal response back from the county in regards to our request to split the cost of the lighting on Metro Parkway?
Mr. Vanderpool?
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Yanes, no, we have not, but I expect to have one in the near future.
Do you think that might be affirmative or negative, or we don't know? You're just expecting a response?
I'm expecting a response. We've had engagement with Commissioner Joe Romano. We've been in discussions with the deputy county executive. They have not formally told us no. They have not formally told us yes. They've told us they're considering the matter, and they'll be back in touch sometime soon.
Okay, so I'm going to dovetail that into this, because I have a high level of frustration with our county government, and quite often it seems things go in one direction with them. So I'm coming home the other night. This is the second time this has happened to me this summer. I'm sure it's happened more than once, but there's a concert at Freedom Hill, and traffic is backed up across Shaner, and there's one lane available. And so people have to maneuver around traffic to get to the one lane so they can get through the intersection. And, you know, there's no police. There's no Sterling Heights Police. There's no Macomb County Sheriff's Police. There's no signage telling concert goers to stay to the right and through traffic to the left. And it's a mess. And I think we're fortunate that there hasn't been an accident or a road rage incident or anything like that. I think we need to let the county know that is their park. I believe Freedom Hills, the amphitheater is a private entity. Is that correct? I'm sorry, anybody who wants to answer that?
Yes, Councilman Yanes, yes, the operator is a private entity.
Yeah.
It's, the park is owned by the county. You're correct in saying the county sheriff is responsible for patrolling on site. I agree with you, though, there could be better collaboration and better signage and so on. We'll certainly bring that to their attention.
Well, there needs to be, because again, we're fortunate that nothing has happened, but something could happen. And it's highly frustrating, especially for the folks who just want to go northbound, southbound on Shaner, as well as the people who unexpectedly get stuck in the right-hand lane going eastbound on Metro Parkway, not realizing they're stuck in concert traffic. So we need to communicate to the county that they need to do something about traffic here in Sterling Heights, whether they want to hire us on overtime or send out their own deputies or whatever. They need to control traffic. Okay, very good. The other thing, again, through the chair to Mr. Vanderpool, I was wondering, after the fact, after we had our meeting with Priority, the $50,000 in fines, where does that money go? What do we do with the $50K? It just goes in the general fund, or?
think we just reduced what we paid them that month. by
Okay,
$50,000.
okay, that's fair. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, thank you. And then I'm just going to say just a couple of things real quick. They just had that DTE ride and drive thing. When we had it a year ago, that's when I drove I drove the Chevy Blazer at the time, but it was because of that, I made a commitment to buy an EV, and I did buy an EV last December. So it was a great opportunity for people to come out and drive an EV and find out what it's like. And if anybody is interested, I've taken my EV up north twice now, once to the UP and once to the far reaches of northern Michigan with absolutely no problem whatsoever. It does add time to your trip, but it was a very comfortable ride and had no problems getting the car charged up and getting it to where I needed to go. So that was great. And I have, and I appreciate you bringing up the Eagle webinar that our team is going to do a presentation on reforestation. I get the updates from Eagle, and I've already RSVP'd, and I think that is a moment of pride for us to be able to present to the rest of the state what we're doing with our reforestation. And I encourage everybody to RSVP. I noticed you didn't have Mr. Vanderpool. You didn't give him a place to go or what to do, but maybe we can somehow let people share the link or something like that to let people know how to RSVP for that webinar. And I think that is all I have. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Yanez. Council, anyone else? Mrs. Schmidt?
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. I just wanted to bring up, we've been hearing, I know I have, and I think all of my colleagues on council here have been hearing from residents some concerns about these short-term rentals, Airbnbs, Vrbo, turning into party houses and affecting neighborhoods. Not only in Sterling Heights, and we're not a big tourist city that we probably have a lot of these. However, I think we need to start a discussion on that. I think without objection, I'd like administration to do some research and maybe bring this up during strategic planning as to what other communities that are not, that are much like us, that are not tourist communities, what they're doing. It seems every week on the news, other communities, Detroit, Dearborn, are having multiple issues, and I would hate to see us not have anything in place if this starts to become more of an issue. So without objection, Mayor.
Council, any objection? Hearing none. Mr. Vanderpool?
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you, Mrs. Schmidt. Mr. Radke?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Two or I guess three brief things. To dovetail with what Mr. Yanez said, if we could even put pavement markings on Shaner at 16 Mile when we're doing the lighting and the medians to don't block the box, don't block the pathway. I fully think that Freedom Hill and the amphitheater should be reimbursing the city if we have to go out there and do traffic control, as we would do for any other event. Any business that would block traffic would have to pay. And I think that it's insane that we let them get away with it without any support from the county. Number two, I was on Goldberg yesterday at Canal, and I witnessed a kid on a dirt bike fly by on the ITC trail. And that's unacceptable. He was weaving between people on bikes and walkers, kind of like having a little good time. So I'm hopeful that the city will get our the community patrol unit or the people who ride bikes and other people on the trail to monitor this. And if we catch, young people or even older people who are using a motorized vehicle on a non-motorized trail, we should be confiscating the vehicle that they're driving. And honestly, I got to think that's reckless driving. Taking a motorized vehicle on a non-motorized path and weaving between pedestrians is dangerous. And talking to the residents over there, it happens frequently. And, we've established this wonderful new trail, and it's great. It really is. And I was on the trail. It's lovely. But at the same time, we have to make sure that we keep it safe. We have to have it patrolled. And then finally, so I'm hoping, Mr. Vanderpool, you'll talk with the police chief and develop a strategy to hopefully rein it in. Because We don't want it to become dangerous. And then finally, I know that I've been looking and we've been talking about some of AI and the new police drones that we're probably going to develop this year. But I was reading in the papers how other cities have dealt with this technology. One thing that came to mind with a drone program is, are the drones going to be recording and overflying people's homes on their way to whatever project that they're going to? In other cities, in Maryland specifically, that I read about in the Washington Post, they don't allow the drone to look down and record while it's flying to whatever location it's going to as a privacy concern. Because obviously, if you were located in a home near where the drones launch from, your home is going to be overflown repeatedly and constantly by this drone, and we wouldn't want to violate their privacy by having this drone there. So I would ask that we at least have a conversation about our AI and drone policy. At the Sterling Fest this year, we used AI cameras to detect and arrest a youth who threw a firework at a police officer. And I'm glad we caught him, but I want to make sure that our ordinances for AI codify how we use it, how we keep it, and for how long. Because other cities, Detroit specifically, has had problems with using AI and facial recognition to arrest people. And they have specific ordinances protecting against this, because one thing AI does not do well is it doesn't identify people who are not Caucasian as well. And there can be confusion there. So I'm hoping, I don't need an ordinance or anything, but I'd love to have a report on how the city keeps AI, how we're going to run this drone program, and how we're going to make sure we're respecting people's privacy while keeping the city safe. So without objection, I'd like a report on that, Mr. Mayor.
Council, any objection on that? Hearing none, Mr. Vanderpool.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Radke. Council, anyone else? Mrs. Zarko.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. I'm going to add on a few things to a couple of things that were brought up today, and one of them was the press conference that Mr. Vanderpool talked about this morning on housing. And it's as we like to call it, a partnership, because what we're asking really is the state to put a fund together that will be accessible to people that were either buying a home, developing, buying to sell. Some of them are buying for ownership only, so they have to be owner occupied. You have to live in them for a certain amount of time. And some of it is for the actual purchase and building, and the other part is for actually restoration, and there'll be funding involved. So to help people get into their own home. So it's something that I think we need to ask our legislature to, and our representative, to get on board with this, because in the end, we all benefit from it. And I think that, it's been brought up that it's hasn't been introduced actually yet. So if we could get some of our representatives on board with this and see if they can help us along, I think it'll make a difference in the amount of dwellings that we can actually build in Sterling Heights. And some of it is based on, if you're applying for a grant, you're eligible for a grant, but you're also eligible for a loan, so you continue the work on what you're doing. So it had a lot of positive points to it, and I can see where it will help a lot of times first-time buyers. It had, I don't want to say restrictions, but it did have a lot of qualifications that you had in order for the developer, the purchase that, or a person that's going to live there. So the city, that was it. For so many years, the city's been, across the state, have been blamed for zoning. You got to change your zoning laws. And in this case, so it wasn't actually changing our laws, but things to consider so that it makes it easier for people to build a home. So I would think, can we talk to some of the people that are representing us? And we actually have 6 people to talk to, because we have 3 reps and 3 senators. So I think that would be something we could reach out to them and tell them how important this is to pass. So if we could do that. The other question that came up today when we were talking were short-term rentals. And I worked with Jen Richterink on this for over 5 years. And it's like just when you get to the finish line, when you're going to put all the responsibility and you're giving the municipality the control that they need for their city, meaning like here, we don't have people buying up homes that they rent out for vacation homes for the summer. We don't have that, but we do have people that are turning them into Airbnbs, and we might only have a handful, but if they're being used for parties, we want to stop that now. So that's the other thing is you get it to the finish line and then you go into lame duck or something happens and it never gets put across the finish line. So I think that, we need to look at that. And as we talk about this, it's not like in the UP where you have somebody coming in and they'll buy up 8 homes on a street and then rent them out, which takes away from their housing inventory for the people that actually live and work there and have no place to live and nothing to buy because they're Airbnbs. So I think the problem is different in different areas of the state, and we're finding that it's affecting us now, and I think that we have to work on how we're going to fix it before it becomes a big problem. And let's see. And then just a little note, I was reading that Paula McPherson, who's the executive director for Velocity, was just recognized as a 2025 most valuable professional by the Michigan Inventors and Entrepreneurs Coalition here. And I thought that was a good honor, and she's doing a great job over there, and hope she keeps up the good work. So just wanted to recognize her for that. Nothing further.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Zarko. Council, anyone else? Mrs. Sarowski?
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. Well, lots of comments, so I'm going to be somewhat brief, brief. So great ideas, colleagues. I love these ideas about sustainability and new housing, and yes, Airbnbs and VRBOs, all of it. It's really, I'm very happy. Good job, guys. And I know we don't compliment each other that much when we're on the dais, but I'm taking that chance. And so really good things happening in Sterling Heights, and that makes me excited. And just very briefly, two more weeks of music in the park, one next week and the following week, and then what's that?
Fireworks in the final.
And the fireworks, yes, and the fireworks in the final, which, okay, all the dogs have to be, calmed, put heavy blankets on them, but I'm very excited. And so please, residents, I don't think this year we've had anything less than 6,000 or 7,000 on a night, even on the nights where the weather's bad. It's very well attended. It's very well policed, happy fun, families and people of all ages. So 2 more nights, guys, this week and next week, and then we're going to be looking for next year. So that's all I have. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Mrs. Sarowski. Mrs. Koski?
Thank you. I watched the Planning Commission meeting the other night when they were reviewing the different properties, homes. And tonight we hear about this grant funding that's going to be available. First-time buyers, great news. But I have one question, and I really don't want an answer. We're 90-some% built out. What about the $1 million homes? We don't have a place for any $1 million homes. And I was looking in the paper the other day, and I saw that Shelby, Washington, and Macomb Township have homes $2 and $3 million. Sterling Heights doesn't have any of those at all. I'm not even sure that we have one at 999,000. And I'm just wondering if that's something that we're forgetting about, we don't want, or we don't have space for it. Food for thought. School is going to be starting soon, and I saw that we have a video out there, what to do when you find a school bus that stops. Do you have to stop? And it's questions that people kind of forget about. And do I stop or don't I stop? So I would think that we would want to show that video as many times as we possibly can with school starting to remind people what the rules are. One other thing, we have a cabin up in Roscommon. Got a flyer the other day. The heat up there is electric. So our supply is consumers. They sent out a little brochure and a letter saying, we're coming through your neighborhood, we're going to mark your trees. if you get an A blue or a B pink or a red C, it's going to tell you whether we're going to cut it down, cut it up, leave it for you, or take it away. And it's not to worry, no cost, because it's included in your electric bill anyway. But I would like to share that flyer because it also talks about planting trees and what you should pay attention to, how many feet you need, if there is a wire that the tree is going to be under or near. And I'd love to share it with you, Mr. Vanderpool. You might not like it, but I'd be more than happy to share it with you. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Koski, and thank you, council, for your comments. I have nothing further tonight, so I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, support.
Been moved and supported with no discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.